Sorry, we're closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Sorry we're closed. Episode 38, I believe. I always do this, Mike. I always start the podcast and say, and I never look at what episode I'm on. I just say it, and but I always announce the number for whatever reason. I will tell you, I've been 100% correct in all my guesses, but still, I feel like I should just look it up one time instead of having to guess every time it ends in a question mark. It's like I'm Ron Burgundy. Every time it ends in a question mark, the number of podcasts I'm on. But listen, it's great to have you. For those of you who don't know, me and you have became friends on Twitter, I think, right?
We are one of those well, first of all, you should tell them who I am.
My name is
Hello, everybody. I'm Gunz from the Gunz Show. My name is Gunz with a Z. It's my last name, pretty much the best goddamn last name ever out there. Do
Seriously.
a lot of broadcasting. No, it's true. And then you meet me, and I am the last person that should have the name Gunz, and I have no tattoos. So it's pretty funny when that happens, and people are like, "Dude, you're Gunz that like we hear about?" Yeah, complete opposite. But we did meet kind of like on Twitter. Obviously, we both have mutual friends in like Barstool and big supporters of them, et cetera. And like I had known about you, et cetera. I covered sports for ABC radio here in New York City for years. So I did Yankees, Mets, et cetera. So like I know sports. But we kind of just started like liking each other's tweets. And I was like, all right, well, he's not a scumbag that I know of, so I'll give him a follow.
No, not that you know of. Not that you know of. At least not yet. But yeah, you have your own show, The Gunz Show.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, because I've listened to a few episodes and I did some of my own research because that's what good podcast hosts do.
I hear that.
I hear that. You have a whole gamut of different types of guests on the show. I saw Fall Out Boy. I saw Aaron Boone.
Yeah, so this is the bottom line. So yeah. I always loved music. I think music is the one thing that no matter what we're going through in life, like legit, it can get us through. So whether you're happy, it's like, all right, shit, man, let's pump the jams like before we go out and we're pre-gaming, you know what I mean? To like, if you're sad or just like, she broke up with me, she broke my heart, or I'm going to go and bang her. You know what I mean? There's a song for every mood out there, and everyone knows it. So I always like loved music. I was in some bands when I was younger, but the odds of making it to be a successful band are like 1 in like 300,000. Okay. And you have to find a core group of people that are willing to tour their asses off, to sleep in vans, to sleep on hardwood floors, to get paid enough money to maybe pay for the gas money to get you to your next town or city. That's like the struggle that really begins a lot, especially for like rock bands or pop punk bands and a lot of artists out there. So that I always wanted to do that. And unfortunately, I never got into a band that made it. So I was like, okay, how can I help out bands still? And I was always kind of an outgoing personality. And so that's why I went to broadcasting. So when I was like in high school, I would take the train or have my parents drive me into New York City, and I would do like Much Music and Fuse Television and just kind of like just learn all the ropes about it, be in the audience and all that, about how live shows go and how you interview and all that. And I went to Fordham University, and then by second semester, I was on the air on Fuse Television and on ABC Radio nationally. So as a freshman. So I'm literally living out my dream of being on air and talking about music, entertainment, and sports, and it's awesome. I freaking love it, bro.
Listen, it's first off, the band industry, and I don't know a whole lot about the music industry and how to make it and all that stuff, but it seems fairly similar to what you have to do as a young amateur baseball player, because in the summers during college, you give up your summers because you're going out to play summer league, summer ball, wherever it was. I was in Newport, Rhode Island, and then I was in the Cape Cod League in Chatham. So you don't have your summers as a college kid, which are a lot of fun. And then, you're doing the bus trips in the minor league baseball game, paid $1,100. And the vast majority of those minor league baseball players don't sign for a whole lot of money. So, they're working winter jobs to stay afloat and be able to pay their own bills. People don't understand those types of things. And then like how we always talk about, it's once the band hits, or well, not so much the baseball player because people know the minor league system, but once that band hits, they're an overnight success. No one ever talks about
not realizing
years.
the struggle and the, dollar menu that you had to eat, and just to the dollar menu Wendy's. Like, yeah, that's how people survive by it. But you're exactly right, because there's so much that goes into it for both the, coming up as an athlete as well as coming up as a band, because there's things that you can control and there's a lot of things that you can't. So listen, you're going to play and you're going to practice, and you're going to do your guitar scales, and you're going to work on your vocal harmonies, and you're going to take care of your voice, and you're going to, bust your ass and stay up for 3 nights in a row at a studio to make sure that you produce the best music possible. If you're an athlete, you're going to do as much personal stuff as you can. You're going to hit the weight room. You're going to throw up, even, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to put your body through hell. But there's still that underlining factor that a lot of it has to do with timing.
Yep.
A lot of it has to do with luck. And so many times a band might have a great sound, but it only becomes popular like 2 years later. And somebody else came up and did it, practically stole your sound. So you never get the credit. You're like, shit, we were doing this a couple years ago. But timing, man, it's all about timing and those opportunities, like fucking that the yodel kid, that Mason kid or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that? And then he got signed by Atlantic Records for a multi-million-dollar contract. Now, like, that's wild. Or like Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen. Like,
I
what the
forgot about
fuck?
that song.
Like, it just happens, bro. It's wild.
What's that festival out in California?
Coachella.
Wasn't the yodel guy in the Walmart, and then like 2 weeks later he was playing at Coachella?
Yeah.
That is mind blowing.
It's like life changed, bro.
Completely
changed. But it's also just like, listen, man, like, it's like, it's Aaron Boone goes down, not like A-Rod needed the opportunity, but Aaron Boone goes down, boom, now we have A-Rod. Or somebody, Luke Voigt being able to have opportunities for the Yankees, or just different players. That's why you always have to be ready to go in case your number gets called. Alex Smith was the 3rd quarterback for the Washington football team this year. Now he's starting again. Just because the other, you just have to be ready to go. You can't sulk, you can't mope, you can't feel sorry for yourself, because you gotta go, bro. Because if you're not, somebody else will be.
Always. It reminds me a lot of AAA baseball. So you get through the minor leagues, the A ball, the single, the AA, all those. You're still you're a young guy, or you're excited. You have a few salty people there who never going to make it, but for the most part, it's exciting, it's energetic, all that stuff. Then you get to AAA. And AAA is that mix of people like where I was in the beginning of my career, where I'm the young guy fresh into AAA. Like, I'm one step away from making my dream come true. All these crazy things happening, and then you have the middle of the road guys that have been there for a little while, and they've been up and down. Then you have the old guys, disgruntled bastards, furious that they didn't. They've been doing AAA for the last 7 years. And I've been up and down. I'm better than those guys up there. Blah 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 blah.
Never a positive thing to say. Just always why they got screwed and why they're better than somebody else who made it.
Always. It is without a doubt. Or the one you hear all the time, and I was guilty of this myself, is especially with the Red Sox. When you had the Red Sox teams that were good, winning World Series, and then they're like a premier team in the league. You're like, if I was over by the Marlins, I would have had 5 years in the big leagues by now. Like, I would have done this. I would have done that. Where in reality, listen, if you would have had 5 years in the big leagues, if you were the Marlins would have traded for your ass, because you're sitting in AAA, but you're not. Right. It's not the way the world works. And there's always, you have your cases of people getting screwed every now and again, where they're just kind of being held there because whether or not the GM really likes them and doesn't want to give them up, because it's like a safety net for him, and just in case someone gets hurt.
Politics, financials. Maybe you're just a dirtbag that nobody wants you on the team unless you're really, really, really good, and then they'll just deal with it. You know what I mean? And kind of like put you in the. I remember when I went to. I'm a diehard Yankee fan. All right, so.
Go Red Sox.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my first opportunities at Fordham University was I joined WFUV, the radio station, and I had some broadcast experience on me because I was doing high school stuff and on-air experience, and I was a go-getter. I was a hustler and grinder for sure. Definitely, like, worked my ass to get everywhere. Like, my parents didn't give me anything. And I covered the New York Yankees spring training. And I walk in that first day down in Tampa just by myself. I have the credential. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I walk in, And the only advice I got was like, kind of just like sit back, like those first couple days, like see what the hell's going on before you do anything. So I did, like, I learned about questions and what to do. So I remember in the corner was Bernie Williams, and he had his guitar and his amplifier. So I remember going to Bernie because I love music, and I just asked him about music, not even about baseball. And he loved me because he was like, thank God nobody's bothering me about sports. Here's this young 18, 19-year-old kid. So we talked music. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, that broke my thing. I saw Mattingly walk by. Mattingly was my hero. I fought people for number 23 in all the sports I played for growing up. You know what I mean? Like, you had to be 23. I was literally getting fights to get 23 in Little League. And I was like, excuse me, sir, Mr. Mattingly, do you have a couple questions? And he talked to me. So I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I just interviewed my idol. But then there's Tony Womack. And Tony Womack, he was on the Yankees just for 1 year. And this is probably why. This is when the Yankees had Tony Womack and Kenny Lofton. And Kenny Lofton, I was told, don't go up to him. And I was like, all right, fine. Like,
is he brutal?
Yeah, apparently he was just a dick. So, so I just never went up to him. That's at least what I was told by the other person. So I go to Tony Womack because I think I was Jeter had just wrapped up and Tony's next to his locker. So I was like, all right, well, I'm here anyway. Like, let me get as much press and audio as I can. And it's spring training, which is so much more laid back. So I go, excuse me, Mr. Womack, can I ask you a question? And he goes, I don't answer questions. I'm like, okay. I was like, well, do you have any expectations? And he goes, I don't get expectations. And he threw his towel at me. And you talk about a traumatizing experience as a 19-year-old, like shaking my hand, like, you know what I mean? Like holding my recorder, throws his towel at me. Tony Womack, like, dude, Tony Womack could walk down the street right now and nobody would know who the F he is. Like, no. I don't care about Tony Womack. I'm so much better than you, Tony Womack. Not as rich as you probably, but still, like, that is the ultimate, like, dude, why be a dick? Why be disgruntled if you don't have to be? Especially spring training, things are laid back. Like, oh, throw a towel at the kid? What the fuck is that?
Dude. And honestly, you see that more in baseball than I would have liked to at the upper levels. Like, one of the other big things was autographs. You know, guys would not sign autographs. Some guys wouldn't sign them at all. Some of them only for kids. Some of them, you know, not. If you come to me outside the stadium, nope, you got to buy a ticket to the game. You know, like all these. And I was like, listen. Weren't you guys kids at one point that like covered their notebooks practicing their autograph, and now someone might sell the card, and now you're, oh no, I would never let someone make money off me. Like, what are you doing? Like, you've been waiting for this. Why are you all of a sudden bitter? Why are you this old, veteran that hates signing autographs out of nowhere? It just always blew my mind. And the same thing reported. There are some reporters, I will say, and I'm sure specifically in New York, in Boston, that are assholes. Like, I remember I had one. I was sitting in Boston in the clubhouse, and my locker buddy was Craig Kimbrell. And Craig, phenomenal closer, one of the best to ever do it, right? He's struggling now, but at the time he was thought to be one of the best to ever do it. And some guy comes up to him, and it's a Boston media. And I don't know how bad New York was, but because I never got interviewed there, but in Boston, like, some of these guys, they try to get you. They try to get
your questions. Yes,
yep.
And there's a fine line, like, as being like, I'm on air, I do cable news, I'm a reporter, etc. But there's a fine line between, like, it's almost like that person, like in high school, that got off by seeing other people get in trouble, whether it's a tattletale or somebody who's just like, oh, well, he didn't do his homework, let me kind of like rat him out. Like, that mentality definitely happens in the media for sure, because look at like a Skip Bayless, you know what I mean? Like, the holier than thou or whatnot, you are purposely being a dick. Some of it is a stick. Other like Skip, although Skip has gone beyond just being a shtick, like he's just the worst.
Yeah.
But others are just like, they need to constantly reassure themselves that they are better, or why they want to demean the player, so it makes them seem superior for why you have to listen to them as if they know it all.
Yes, and this guy walks up to Craig, and we were on a little bit of a losing streak at the time, and he walks up to Craig, goes, you guys are, let's say, 2-7 in your last 9, blah 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 blah. How much do you blame John Farrell for this? And what is Craig supposed to say to that? Like, oh yeah, no, I blame the whole thing is on him. I can't believe he would do the moves he's doing. Like, what are you expecting from him? Greg was just looked at the guy and was like, "Are you kidding me? I don't blame him at all. He's not playing. He's making moves, but he's not playing the game. Like, we are losing the game."
Right. Totally.
And I was like, I was sitting there. I asked him, I was like, Craig, do people ask you these types of questions all the time? He's like, in Boston, it's never ending. Like these guys, they come up to you and they try to get you, and they try to say things, especially when you're like, he's a big builder. He has his own locker, and then he's got to build shelves. Craig, he always builds shelves in his damn locker.
Couple additions to it. Additions, yeah.
Always doing home improvements to his own locker. And then, so he's doing it, but so they do it at these times where you're caught off guard. And he's all of a sudden, like I said, you guys like over there with a hammer, and the guy like rolls up, hey, what do you blame John Farrell for all these losses? What?
It's like, whoa, what's happening? Yeah.
Where'd you come from?
It's like, yeah, calm your ass down. Let me do me. And there needs to come to there needs to be mutual respect, but also like as a player, you can't really you can't complain openly, because then the media and those people are just going to attack you more and more and just get on you more. So for those that, it isn't easy. And that's why I truly believe that sometimes athletes should go through, especially with social media, like social media training or whatnot. Sure. Like if you go for a job now, like you have to go through all these like training courses on how to use social media. Like I think the same thing should go with athletes who might not, who have just been so focused on their sport throughout their whole entire lives that like maybe like other parts they're not as aware of. So I feel like that's why you need to do it, because otherwise, man, I give you guys credits because I would snap, bro. If somebody kept fucking antagonizing me, I would go off. Like, just like the trolls on Twitter, like, of course you ignore them, but we all had that moment where we're just like, fuck you. Dude. Go fuck yourself. But to do that as an athlete, knowing that the minute you do something wrong, you are on that back page, or you're just going to get like blacklisted or blackballed or like, and then they know that they have you. That's tough, man, because that takes inner strength and all that. All the millions you can have, but that one time you F up or maybe do something at a club and somebody's fucking like goes at you and then you respond, you're the one that's going to get in trouble. And then you end up on TMZ.
The perfect example of this is Blake Snell, when the negotiations were going on with the Players Association and the owners before the season started this year. He was playing video games and he was streaming, and he went off about how the owners aren't paying them and they're wanting to take pay cuts. First off, if anyone has any clue on PR or anything of that matter, the owners absolutely killed the players in the PR world in this way. They shut their mouths. They didn't come out in the media and talk, and they just let the lawyers handle it. The players, on the other hand, they just all of a sudden now Blake Snell's on Twitch or whatever it is, and he's talking about how, and now it looks like these millionaires are pissed. That's the headline now. It's no longer about the owners anymore, who are billionaires. They
flipped the script. Now they demonize the players. It was like that.
Brilliant. Yep. And if you watched it, like I didn't get on Trevor about this because I don't know Trevor that well, but they went and leaked a little bit to Trevor Plouffe right in the beginning, saying maybe we can get July 4th baseball. And they leaked this story through him and through a few other media outlets. And then all of a sudden, knowing that the proposal they're about to give to the players, they are damn well turning that thing down. There's no way they're taking this. But by leaking that early, it now pins the players in between the fans and getting baseball. And it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliantly well done. And the fans bought it hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. And the players did exactly what the ownership wanted to and came out publicly and started talking when they should have just shut their mouths, let the lawyers handle things behind closed doors and go that way. But all of a sudden, again, you get caught off guard by a question on Twitch, and boom, they got you.
You're in the moment, you're in the zone, you're just chilling, playing Call of Duty or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. And so just like, oh no, fuck the owners, blah, blah, blah. But you're exactly right, because that played out, that whole entire argument and fight played out in the media and on social media. And it was, owners wanting to demonize the players because, listen, they threw out that bullshit, that one of those initial proposals in the beginning, actually multiple ones, were just complete bullshit that they knew the players were never going to accept. Okay. But they turned the script because the owners weren't really speaking that much, besides like Buster only being like, oh, well, I talked to, a couple owners, but never says who he spoke to. Instead, it was the players. So they were trying to demonize the players in front of all the fans or the public persona, be like, oh, these millionaires don't even want to go out and try and play baseball to get some sort of normalcy in the pandemic. Yep. They knew exactly what they were doing, those owners. And they also have the best lawyers because they're all like billionaires. You know what I mean?
They're brilliant people. They are brilliant people. And they made the players their little bitches throughout this entire process. And they showed them exactly how well schooled they are in this and how little schooled the players are in this. Yeah. And they beat him. And listen, we're about to go to not to get too much into baseball here, but they're about to go into a CBA discussions this winter, and it's going to happen again. The owners would be stupid at this point not to get it back into the media because they won so much in the summer. They have to use that as one of their tools.
And what leverage do the players have? I mean, that it all comes down to who's going to have more leverage. The players ended up, and I'm glad they did. I'm stoked that we had baseball this year. I don't care if it's a shortened season, whatever. It sucked that my Yankees blew it because God damn, we were bad in the end. God, that was frustrating.
The Red Sox were bad the entire way. So
yeah, but you guys suck anyway. So and I hate you. But it should be interesting because the CBA is going to be big, man, and it's all going to come down to negotiating. And I have no idea what sports are going to look like next year. We just found out that Mardi Gras is already canceled. New Orleans already canceled Mardi Gras for next year. A lot of works, Universal Records for their tens of thousands of employees all across the country said June 1st they're not going back to. Sirius XM, we got something, I think it's either March or May 1st. So like it's God knows what we're going to look like with sports next year, but the CBA is going to be interesting, man, because it's going to have to do with dollars, a lot of dollars on the line.
A lot of dollars on the line. And I think since I forget the gentleman's name, but someone, one of the head attorneys for the Major League Baseball Players Association had passed away years and years ago. And ever since then, this is at least what the word was amongst players when I was playing, was ever since then, Major League Baseball Players Association was known as the best union in sports. Like those guys got whatever it's the only sport with all guaranteed money. Like they got anything. They were great at it. But apparently this guy was the guy that was great at it. He had passed away, unfortunately. And then they have Tony Clark, and they have their set of lawyers now that take over it. And ever since then, man, I go about this on Twitter all the time, but they sell the amateur players down the river to get some Major League Baseball players their stuff because that's who ultimately votes to keep them what their jobs are. And they don't care about the amateurs. The draft now being 5 rounds, and then you can't sign anyone after the fifth round in the other pool. You can't sign anyone for more than like $5,000. Like how many guys did I see in the 10th, 15th, even 20th round signing for 6 figures because they leveraged themselves well. Like, and now you're losing all that.
They don't want any part of it. Yep.
It's a crazy world.
It's definitely crazy in inside baseball for sure. I have a question for you though, man, because I was talking about like touring. And I've gone on tours and like I do like the Vans. I was doing the Vans Warped Tour growing up and like was broadcasting on that and touring with bands. But like, like we would go on the tour bus and go from city to city. Every day you wake up in a different city. So it was kind of like almost like you guys would play like your 3-game stretch or whatever the hell it might be in AAA. But what did things? I mean, you guys were definitely in some BC rate cities, especially AAA. I mean, you're talking like random ass.
Well.
So like. Did some fun go on? Like, I mean, did you guys have to hit up like whether it's random ass like the worst of the worst strip club? Like, I mean, like, yeah. I mean, there's like you had to occupy yourself somehow, whether it was fun or just like shooting guns or whatever the hell it might be, right? Like, dude, you guys were in some really back town.
Oh, especially at the lower levels, you're in some cities that are. The perfect example is Lowell, Massachusetts. It's the short season ball for the Red Sox, and I like Lowell, I like playing there, but it's a town that's it used to be all these textile factories, right? It's all these textile mills that used to be really a booming type city, kind of like Buffalo was, and when they were a booming city, and then they kind of started dying because things kind of moved elsewhere, right? And I remember going to the bar in Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm 21 at the time, just got drafted. I go to the bar because you don't really have much time in baseball, unfortunately, because you get to the field around 1, 12, depending on how early you want to get there, and then you're there until about 11 o'clock at night, and then you just come. Usually, a lot of times you go to bed. Sometimes you have early lift the next day, whatever have you. So we don't have a whole lot of time to do things, which makes the season extra long. I promise you, it makes it extra long. But I remember going to this bar, having this one time where I was able to go out, and I went to this bar. I don't remember what it was called, but there were fights. And listen, you know me. I own Green Rock. That place is no stranger to a good fight.
Yeah. Got some battles. Yeah.
I have never seen to this day the fights that I saw at this bar, and you're talking people getting jumped outside. A dude getting jumped by 5 dudes. You're talking. There was 2 couples, boy and girl, both 2 couples. The dudes got into it. The one girl hits the guy that her guy's fighting with. And then the fucking other girl comes with a flying headbutt.
The headbutt move.
Headbutt.
Oh. No
sitting there,
disregard
like,
for all humanity when you start headbutting. Like,
I was
that
like,
is an insane move to see live because you're just like, what is happening? The flying.
dude, I grew up in Cold Lake, New Jersey.
Yeah.
It is a nice town, I went to private school. Then I went to Monmouth University, very nice college.
Jersey rep,
Like, listen.
And then you go to this and you see something straight out of a movie where people are just like punching each other and just straight up going nuts.
Dude,
I love that though, man. Like
I lost my mind. I lost
that like bar fight. That's like the legit bar fight is something that you really truly never see. But when you have like that type of experience, you're just like, holy shit, this is wild.
Wow, because at Green Rock, you typically get like a punch thrown, and then the bouncers are there. Because first off, Green Rock is very tight, and I employ many bouncers to avoid those things because typically in those scenarios, just, I'm sure my listeners know this by now because I've talked a little bit about it, but they always sue the bar. They very rarely sue the person they fought with because they assume the business has more money to go after, and then they'll claim that we overserved. They'll claim that we didn't protect them well enough because they were the assholes. What am I supposed to do? Like,
right, yeah. Bodyguard for everybody. Like,
So they do all of these things. So, I employ a lot of the bouncers to break things up before someone gets bodily harm because you always need a medical report in order to sue us. So, or at least have a case to sue us. People sue us without one all the time. But so it's a crazy world. You don't want to own Green Rock. But it was so strange to see. And again, I didn't own Green Rock at the time that I was in Lowell, but I was like, are these what bars are like? Like what is going on? Like a flying headbutt? Where am I?
Like, that was a special move. You know what I mean? Like you're playing Xbox. That's your special move, the flying headbutt.
I never went back to the bar again. I haven't yet. I went back to Lowell, I think, once when I was still playing, but I haven't been. Other than that, God, I would never go out there again.
That was enough. One and done.
One and done. I was.
Dude, it's so funny how crazy this fucking country is. Like, obviously not like on the political side or whatnot, but just like there's so many just towns and cities shit that we don't even know about. We both grew up in Jersey and New York City, East Coast, whatnot. And you've been able to travel obviously across, but like there's just so much more out there. Like
so much more. So much more.
People are nuts, bro.
Oh my God. I have a question for you though. This is something I've been curious about. I'm not a music industry guy. I absolutely love music. For those of you that don't know, and you don't know this, Gunz, but I'm a big Sinatra guy, big Billy Joel. Like that's the stuff I like. I like obviously like I'm into house. Like I like some EDM music, especially Green Rock. It's it's good, a cool vibe, all that good stuff. I like a little bit of everything. But I listen mostly to like to Joel and Sinatra and Dean Martin, people like that. I saw a meme the other day, right? And I think it was on TikTok or whatever. And I don't know, it might not have been a meme. I think it was a standard TikTok. And the guy said that he felt bad for people up and coming in the music industry nowadays because he thought what you used to do, you used to tour, you used to go to these big things, that's how you made it. Now you got to hope a 15-year-old girl makes a dance to one of your new songs. Right. And that's even. So what's your thought process on that? I'm so intrigued by that.
I hate it, but it's definitely the new way. And right now you're starting to see that it's so superficial. So talk about like you used to have your one-hit wonders, but even the one-hit wonder, like you would hear like Sex and Candy or whatnot, like a song like Lit, My Own Worst Enemy. Like but you'd hear that for like 5 months on the radio until it was overplayed and played out. Mm-hmm. Now, because of TikTok, especially specifically, I should say TikTok, it is like you're not your 30 minutes of fame, 2 minutes of fame, you're down to like 30 seconds of fame. And it goes so quickly. So right now there is a battle going on from TikTok, the music industry. Now the music industry and these big labels, they just want to make money any possible way they can, especially now that they've just lost a full year of touring. And a lot of the bands and labels make their money via touring, obviously from ticket sales to meet and greets to merch. Merch is huge. I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of merch being sold every single night if you're Billie Eilish. Like, boom, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that on a 42 tour date, you're talking a ton of money. Yes. So they need to figure out what they're doing. So even though I think they should be, it's a double-edged sword. On one aspect, it's like, all right, cool, man. Listen, dude, I'm the one that does that TikTok song. Like, they made a dance to it. Like, this is awesome. Like, oh, perfect. Now you get a couple, maybe like 100 million streams on it. Cool. But are they just investing in that 20 seconds of you? Or are they taking the time to realize about your other music? or that this is one song on an album that you have chronologically kind of placed. The average person, especially the younger you go, just wants that quick hit. Yeah. And that, I think, is detrimental to a lot of these artists and their careers. So it is definitely a double-edged sword. Listen, all right, cool, man. Yeah, I'm the one that does that song. All right, cool. But dude, you can be done within a month. Like, it could be very over for you because then people don't like that song anymore and they're over it, or they've already moved on, or they're just like, oh, F that. So we're in the past, like, you'd be like, man, that song is from like 2 years ago. Now it's like, yo, that song's from last month and I already hate it. So it's definitely the way that things are going, because it's almost a free promotional tool if your thing gets on TikTok. So you have artists, especially those that do R&B and that do EDM, whatever, dance pop, etc., that are specifically gearing songs for that TikTok instant reaction, which is smart, but I think it will also be detrimental eventually as well.
Okay. I'm so curious about that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And why, and how, because I mean, now I'm hearing TikTok songs at the gym, like, and I'm just like, where do I know this song from? Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, Charlie D'Amelio danced to this. Like, I'm like, God, I should not have Charlie D'Amelio in my head.
It gives these TikTok, and it's almost like they used to be called A&R. Like, A&R would go out and you would, for major labels, and they would find the next big artist and they would sign them. They would sign Avril Lavigne, who started out as a freaking country artist and was seen doing country. Yep. And somebody saw her and was like, hey, we're going to gear you to be Avril Lavigne, this rebellious youth, punk rock, whatever, and then made her into the star. So that's like what the A&R does. You find the artist and cultivate them into doing it. Clive Davis always had his team of people that was able to find, Whitney to, Clive Davis was Clive Davis and founded everybody. But now it's almost like these influencers, or even people like, the Gunz show itself, like being able to break these artists via digital, via Spotify, and getting these artists known, where in the past you had to go through so many different layers. Now it's like, boom, like somebody like Charlie or whoever, they are now these new A&Rs where if they are dancing to your song, you are guaranteed to get 100 million plays. Boom.
Done.
Which is cool. But from somebody who likes music yourself and myself, like love music, like it's taking away from an album and the actual artistic ability. And it was funny because I had one of the heads of Spotify on the Gunz show a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about this, and I was like, what would you say? Because I know my friends are doing that are in bands, and I have friends that are literally number one right now on Billboard charts, and I have up and coming bands. I know, I've interviewed Taylor Swift to Nick Jonas to Fall Out Boy to Guns N' Roses, like everybody across the spectrum. I just love music in general. Dan and Shay are my homies, all sorts of stuff. So what's happening now is it's the ADD generation, man. And so are you. You're at the gym. Do you want that 30, 40-second buildup, or do you want that immediate hit? If you're scrolling through a playlist right now, you want that immediate hit. Are you really going to wait 15 seconds for a song to capitulate or to hit off? Like the average kid these days, if you're going from like banger, 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 and then you have to kind of slowly build up, unless it immediately catches you, they're on to the next one.
Yep.
So it's affecting the ability to write your songs for sure. It's fucking wild, man. It's smarter than I can do. I'll tell you that much.
That is mind blowing, because when I'm going on to, let's say I use Apple Music. So when I go on Apple Music and I'm going to, hey, I don't have any new songs. Let's go through, whatever new playlist, curated playlist that Apple Music's making. If in the first 15 to 30 seconds, I'm not like, oh, this is a pretty cool beat. If I'm not into it, I'm like, let's move on. This sounds like this other song I don't like. Let's move on. So it is interesting that you do effectively, and I don't think that as a baseball player, like I don't think about that stuff. But it's interesting. Like I understand, that makes sense that you would have to now write your songs in a way that keeps
change your process. Well, look at this. Stairway to Heaven would never be able to be a song right now because it's so freaking slow, and then finally hits. You know what I mean?
It's the slowest song in the world.
Yeah, and then but then it just goes jam. Or like certain songs would never be able to be hits because sometimes the best part comes a minute into it, where you're just like, oh yeah. Or Layla, like by Clapton. You know what I mean? Like completely, like songs like that are classics could not be made today. Not at all.
So I have one other question for you.
Yeah. And
it is relevant to I don't know if it's today, but it's relevant to this past week. What is your take on the Scooter Braun Taylor Swift stuff? So when I first read about it, like I'm a business guy. Green Rock and Saku, the sushi restaurant that I own, is not what I want to be the end for me. I'm managing this park. It's fun because I'm 29 years old, but I really I had bigger aspirations. I'm always trying to do stuff, right? So typically in these situations, I always lean to the business guy or businesswoman, wherever it is. If you own the rights, you own the rights. Boom. Sorry, you might be upset about it because you don't like the guy, but that's business. So I always lean towards Scooter Braun. But again, just like we just discovered with how you write music, I have not really a huge, great pulse on the music industry. So I'm curious your thoughts, because you've been in the game for how long now? What are your thoughts right now with the Scooter Braun Taylor Swift stuff?
It's interesting, man. Listen, anytime I've met Scooter, interacted with Scooter, I've seen Scooter, et cetera, he's always been cool to me. He's a very good businessman. Obviously, you look at his the artists that he has, and just the Scooter Braun I wouldn't say empire, because it's not like it's not like it's Puffy, you know what I mean? No. Who had had an empire, but he's got a good, he's into publishing, he's into his own management, he's got investments, he knows what he's doing. He's Scooter Braun, he's smart. Yes. Here's the bottom line: Taylor Swift signed a contract, and it sucked. And she signed a contract like many other artists do, but it's a give and a take. These labels are going to invest in you. They want to have control over it, because every once in a while you will sign a Kanye, you will sign a Taylor Swift, you will get this person that will be around for the next 10, 15, 20 years, Sheryl Crow, et cetera. So the contracts suck in the beginning, and you don't really have that much leveraging. Now, a lot of Taylor Swift Swifties, supporters are like, yeah, but she was 15. That was so mean what they did to her. Suck it up. Sorry.
Sorry.
Shit sucks. That's why you get a good lawyer, and you have to play the game. Now, did Scooter screw Taylor? Did Taylor screw Taylor herself? Here's the thing. Taylor and Scooter hate each other. So not only was it a business relationship, it became personal, and Scooter was like, well, F you. You talk shit about my artists, the people that I invest in, I'm going to go out of my way to screw you. And that's essentially what he did. Now,
I respect that.
You know what I mean? There is a part of it where it's just was it right? No, but a lot of things aren't morally right in business.
Yeah.
But whatever. Now, is Taylor going to be fine? Of course she's going to be fine. Is Scooter Braun going to be fine? Of course he is. Now, what Taylor's doing is she is trying to redo all her old classic songs. And Taylor's new stuff, I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan to begin with, but the old stuff are some jams. Okay. Yes. So she rewrites those. She's now trying to get back at Scooter, saying, all right, well, I'm going to rewrite these, add something new to them. So that way all people care about is the new stuff, and that you won't win any money or gain any money in the past for my old stuff. It is definitely a battle that's going out, because Taylor Swift fans are absolutely insane. And then people that don't like Taylor Swift are also insane, and they just fight with each other. Yes. So it is funny. You got this big, industry mogul out there going after Taylor Swift, who's supposed to be America's sweetheart, blah, blah, blah. And it's hilarious to see play out in public.
It is.
I'm just here drinking. Yeah, drinking and eating the popcorn, baby.
Love that. And supposedly Scooter just sold the Masters or whatever it is.
Sold them for what he bought them with. Now, what's interesting about this is people are like, oh, he must be out of money. I don't think he's out of money at all. I think he just wanted a little bit of the spotlight off of him, or also in the fact that Taylor does re-record these and everything goes right, and it would take away from them. I think he did a smart move by getting rid of them now. He didn't lose any money off of it. Plus, the people that took it are still going to pay him a fraction from it. So he's still going to get a percentage from it, even though he doesn't own them. If these new songs that she's going to record replace the old ones, he would have lost money. So he's like, well, fuck this. Let me do it this way. And I'll still get the percentages from it in case these new songs never come out by Taylor. So it's straight up smart business, man. It's smart. Boom.
It's smart. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's smart. And this is what I go back to, though. Let's say from the basic stuff of where I'm argue with the landlord about certain things, stuff like that. Build relationships. You don't ever burn bridges. And I think, and I don't know what the beef is, where it started. Maybe Taylor was talking shit about Justin Bieber or some shit, right? I don't know where it started, but this stuff, when you do things like that, this type of shit can come back to bite you in the ass. And Scooter Braun made it come back to bite her in the ass. I don't know if Scooter would ever went after her if she didn't do whatever she did to begin with. So she signed bad deals in the beginning. Listen, I signed a bad deal. I signed for $1 million out of college, but my slot in baseball was 1.35. I didn't know any better. I was a 21-year-old kid. My parents had never gone through this. They didn't know any better. So we listened to our advisor at the time. And then later on, I signed with Scott Boras, best agent in all of sports history. And he tells me, no, Boston is known to pay to whatever they wanted you. So what you asked for, they were going to pay you. And it was just but say Scott Boras, amazing. this guy wasn't so amazing, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't listen. Could I have an extra $350,000 in the bank? Yeah, great. But like part of business, right? Part of business. So when she screwed up as a kid, you're going to expect that from young people going up against major record labels. They're probably going to be better at you than this. So you know, so you bite that bullet, and then you don't burn bridges along the way. You keep your mouth shut. You do the Derek Jeter where you do. You know, I say the politically correct things. I do what I need to do, and I do what I behind closed doors, whatever I need to do. Yeah. And she didn't do that. She ended up, come back to bite her in the ass. And I love Scooter Braun. I listened to him he went on Gary Vaynerchuk's.
Of course, yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk. Yep.
He went on Gary's podcast, and I listened to him there. Really smart guy, knows what he's doing. Like, I like Scooter, so it seems to me that Taylor's got to suck this one up.
I bet she refuses, and she's bringing it out in the public right now. And she also knows she has legions of fans. So, like I said,
of course,
I don't have anything in the game from those two, but it is going to be fun. Especially, I just hope it continues just to be just a mess, and
which it more than likely will. Well, he just told the mess, so maybe it won't be anymore. But it normally in these situations,
I hope he just comes out and I just said something about Taylor, and then they just get into a fight.
Just like, fuck off, Taylor.
yeah, go fuck yourself.
Press release from Scooter Braun. Fuck off, Taylor Swift, and that's the end of the quote. But listen, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. This was awesome. This was
hell yeah.
We've been trying to do this for a long time. We even talked about it over tequila shots at Green Rock one day. And you have to come back. You got to bring.
Where the best decisions are made through tequila shots.
Only the best decisions are made via. I think I did one tequila with you. I think Jameson the rest of the way.
We're definitely gonna. Yeah, I can't. I've destroyed my inner body, as you can match shots. I've gotten to that point, and people are like, "Oh, you're old." It's like, no, dude, I've destroyed my body drinking.
Yes.
So I can't. Certain shots just don't do well with me. But I'll never be the person that won't do a shot. I'll just do a shot of what I want to do. So I figure like that's a good. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're the pussy. You won't drink. No, I'll drink. Just let me drink what I want to drink, and I'll still get drunk with you. But I just don't want to be in pain or projectile vomit. Because my body hates me.
Most people try to avoid projectile vomiting, from what I understand.
Not in Grid Rock, though. It does happen a lot.
It happens all the time.
Listen, we got the Gunz show. We're going to have you on my show as well, dude. We're looking forward to that. Like you said, man, I interview Dan and Shay to, all these people, et cetera. But also I do the sports. We've had Aaron Boone on. I've had Big Poppy on. I've had, Coach Calipari on. I've had a bunch. Mike Tyson's been on. And I go, what's up, buddy? I called Mike Tyson buddy, and he's like, "What's up, buddy?" Like, are you fucking kidding me? You just call me your buddy? And yeah, it was wild.
Well,
very good interview.
If you put it on your Twitter, Mike Tyson, Aaron Boone, and Coach Calipari, and then Pat Light, which name doesn't belong? I mean, they might pick me.
We'll never know though until we have you on. So we got to do it, my man.
Dude, I appreciate this, man. It was a lot of fun. Cool. I can't wait to come on the Gunz Show. Please go check him out. The Gunz Show. You don't need my approval, but I'm sure you're a much bigger show than I have. But I appreciate you coming on. I can't wait to do your show, man. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.
Let's go Yankees.
No, fuck that. Thank you so much for listening to the Sorry We're Closed podcast. Go subscribe to our email chain over at thepatlight.com and follow us on all social media. Until next time, guys, I'll see you at the bar.
Sorry, we're closed.